prompt in the minutes around that. Okay.
Y'all can see my screen?
Yes, can see it now.
Cool. Quick introduction for myself. My name is Denny Hong. Working with the Tanzu Artifact Integrity team at VMware. Our team focuses on bringing signing and verification to the Tanzu platform, as well as working with other teams and projects to bring image signing and verifications to their projects. And that's what led to some of our efforts to getting cosign into KPAC. For today's agenda, we're going to quickly just go over a little bit about KPAC alongside how we would sign the output image. So KPAC, for those who don't know, is a tool or environment that you can install in Kubernetes to help build OCI images using cloud-native build packs. It does this by creating build resources and where you define stores and stacks, which I'll go over later, as well as the image resource, which defines what app you're going to be building and the OCI image and things like that. So here, for those who are interested, we had an initial RFC done by another team member, Maureen. A lot of efforts were put into that. And then from there, we started with the initial cosign PR. There are a bunch of features that we still need to get into doing, such as things like transparency log, full CO, etc., as well as internally, KPAC also makes images that they use internally, and we would like to also later on sign and verify those as an intermittent step. Further docs can be found here at this link, where it would define all the cosign configurations that we will go over soon. And I guess for those who are interested, we also have the demo commands here, which since it's recorded, you all can take a look at it afterwards. But in the meantime, I'm going to quickly just run the installation so that we don't have to waste time there. Run it on the side. Oh, just see. So the first thing with cosign with KPAC is that we utilize the cosign keys that were generated from cosign generate key pairs. So you can either use the command provided by the CLI, or run the file manually. In our case right now, we're going to do that. The only required field for us right now is data cosign key. Password is optional if it's blank. And then we currently don't use the pub, but we hope to use that soon when we actually start doing the verification steps inside the KPAC environment as well. So our first key is a pretty generic key. And then our second key, we have annotations here for cosign repository, which will set the cosign repository environment variable so that the signatures can be located in a different location. And then there's the cosign Docker media types, which can be enabled as well to handle legacy registries. So this is pretty much the same as what you would get from cosign generate. So the next steps is to then define your registries secrets. We have the two where I'm going to be pushing the image, as well as that extra co-located signature location, and the corresponding service account. So the service account will be attached to the build and image resources later on that I'll explain. As you can see, we just add the cosign key secrets as part of the secrets. And then after that, we have the cluster stack. The cluster stack is a resource for KPAC where we define the build image as well as the run image. Build image being the base image used for building the image itself, as well as the run image, which is the base image used for running the application later on. So this is the first thing, cluster stack. Then we have cluster store. The cluster store, you can provide the build packs that you'll be using as well. Such in this case, it'll be a Golang application that we will be building. So here is the Golang build packs. And then finally, well, not finally, but we have the builder itself. So the builder will define the service account you'll be using. You'll have to have an extra builder tag where this is the extra image that is being created intermittently that I mentioned that would in the future like to sign as well as verify. But what this image is that it'll list out the stack and store as well as the order of operations for how the builder will work. And then there's the image resource itself. So with the image resource, we would define the same service account, specify the builder we would have created before, as well as the source for our application. There's two here right now to demonstrate that we also handle additional annotations to be added into the signatures. By default, it will have build number as well as build timestamp, but these are additional ones that you can add in so that when you do the verify command, you would be able to see these as one of the parts of the optional field. And then back to here. So in the meantime, while this was all finished, you can see that the stack was created, the store was created, the builder was hopefully created. Yep. And then there are now two output images here. So these are the final results of the build. And there were two pods that gets created, one for each of them. So there's a bunch of steps that happens within each of these pods that builds it. But in the final step, we do the signing, and that can be found inside of the logs. So as can be seen here, we loaded the secrets. We then pushed signatures to the two locations, because the second one being the cosign repository override. So we have the two. So then we can just easily grab the digest using this quick set command for the above. And you can see that the image that we created is signed with the annotations for the first scenario. And likewise, I'm not going to go through too much, but the second scenario will have no annotations as mentioned before. We could run the app if we wanted to just verify this, that the app did build, but that's actually just part of how KPAC works, so it's kind of outside of scope in regards to cosign. But I guess this is a quick run through of that. Any particular questions? So a quick on what is next is that we're going to also, like I mentioned before, sign and verify images for the builders. But right now we're waiting on a little bit of changes in regards to how, I'm not sure how far the efforts have been in making cosign more library friendly so that we can pass in keychains. Because right now we'd have to write the config JSONs for Docker as far as I recall at the moment. So hopefully we can pass in keychains there, because that's apparently a necessary step. And then, other KMS and transparency log and full CO support will hopefully be on the roadmap soon afterwards.
Hi, Danny. I have two questions, if I can jump in ahead of everyone. The first one is this a new lifecycle step in the Cloud Native Build Packs lifecycle?
It leverages the original completion lifecycle step, where originally there was already notary implementation. So we leveraged that portion so that when the image gets built at completion, we also run through the cosign signing if there are cosign keys attached to the service account.
Okay. My second question, that's really helpful. Thank you. Then my second question was with sort of like Recall integration, I mean, what kind of a record do you see yourself adding? Would it just be the signature, or did you have other records in mind as well?
At the moment, we haven't even scoped out the that particular story, so it's going to be put into our backlog for further investigation right now.
Cool, bananas. Well, I'm around to be a nerd.
Sorry again.
That's fine. That's a good answer. Thanks.
Cool.
That's great. Thanks.
Feel
Danny.
free to reach out on Slack, or I suppose if you need to email dhong@vmware.com would be another option for any further questions or information you may be interested in. Awesome.
Great. Thanks for your time. That's really good. Okay, so just check where we are. So there's nothing else on the agenda. So what we can do now is we tend to keep if we have spare time at the end, we have any other business, which is something that's not really found a slot into the existing agenda. Somebody can bring it up. And we also have a section where anybody that's new to the community has come along can say hi, okay, and introduce themselves. You absolutely don't have to, okay. It's just sometimes people would like to just sort of, talk about what they want to work on, or they're just kicking the tires and getting used to things. So first of all, any other business? Is there any sort of items that were not on the agenda that are particularly pertinent that anybody wants to bring up?
Just a heads up, I am speaking at the Atlanta Kubernetes meetup tomorrow.
Awesome.
And the topic is Explain Like I'm 5 SBOMs Container Signing and Verification. So
I could do with some
maybe
of
I'll
that
see you
myself.
there.
Brilliant.
Is it
So,
streamed at all?
I think so. Yeah, I think they might be fancy now and have a YouTube stream.
Okay.
Ooh.
Great.
If you really want to heckle, you can watch the recording with a mirror.
Whoa.
Coincidentally, if anybody does any talks or podcasts or anything like that around Sigstore, just tag Project Sigstore, and we'll get it retweeted. Any other interesting talks coming up? Dan, you have anything? You're usually quite busy with podcasts, and there is something you're doing soon, isn't there, Dan? I saw somebody around CI/CD and secure supply chain.
Oh, there was a big thing last week. Yeah, there's like a whole CI/CD week that I did something at, but I can't think of anything in the near future.
Okay, I'm sure I saw somebody. Okay,
I think that was last week.
okay. The weeks are a blur. I got included to RSA, which would be interesting. Okay, so we're going to be covering Project Sigstore at the RSA conference, which should be interesting because that's a little bit more on the kind of the vendor business side than the developer side. So, okay, great. So sorry, go ahead.
Is that in San Francisco, Luke? Will you be traveling?
Yeah, I will. Yeah, they'll let me in this time as well. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yay,
Well,
unless something changes. So
we should hang out.
I'd love to do that. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, I'd really love to do that.
Is it awkward that we chose elliptic curve for our signature algorithm of record if we're going to be presenting at RSA Conf?
They're not really fixed to that algorithm. I think that's just a kind of a name that they have kind of, that's just stuck around.
I think if you pay them, they'll let you choose any algorithm you like.
Yeah. I'll say we're using we're hashing everything with MD5 or something like that. Just see if they're awake.
The old Caesar cipher. They'll never crack it.
Okay, so anybody like to sort of say hi and introduce yourself to the community? As I say, you don't have to, but sometimes it's a good way of kind of getting involved, getting yourself known.
Hey everyone. My
Hayden?
name's Hayden Blausfern. I just recently joined the open source security team at Google. I've been at Google for about 3.5 years. I've worked on a couple of Google's cloud CAs, one of which was a component of Anthos Service Mesh, and I also worked on Certificate Authority Service, which, as I understand, we are actively moving off beta onto V1 for Fulcio.
Yeah.
So I definitely have an interest in helping out wherever I can with Sigstore. I think starting with some of the Fulcio 1.0 bugs would be a great thing to first work on.
Yeah, definitely. Like those Fulcio issues that we raised earlier, that the test harness. There's Scott's working on the 1.0 port for the GCPCA, and that'd be great. Good to have you, Hayden.
Thank you. Looking forward to it.
Anybody else? No? Okay, that's perfectly good. So we can conclude there, and I'll see you next week. And it's lovely to see you all. Take care. Thank you all. Bye-bye.